And the next question is from Fermo. This one, I'm not quite sure I understand this question either, so I apologize, but I'm going to try it. It says, hi there, I have a resorts account. The problem, 3 hotels share keywords on the same domain. Okay. So there's 3 separate hotels that are being promoted on the same domain, apparently. 2 languages, English and Spanish. Okay. It's a pain in the ass to rank them by mark as the client intends. Is there a way to avoid cannibalization between pages? That's a tough question because I don't really understand what it is that you're asking. I understand that you're trying to promote 3 different hotels that are targeting the same keyword on the same domain. The only thing I could say, if I'm understanding this correctly, would be to have, very good coded structured data on each one of those pages or pages that are associated with each location or each separate hotel, I should say, so that you can kind of disambiguate between the 3. That's what you're calling cannibalization between pages. I don't know how you could do that with keyword like how you wouldn't keyword cannibalize. In other words, because they're 3 hotels in the same location competing for the same words on the same keywords or search queries on the same domain. The only thing I could imagine or suggest doing, and Marco will probably have a much better reply to this than I do, would be to make sure that everything, the entity for each one of them is very, very clear and concise, very tight. Like, and you could accomplish that with structured data, as well as some of the other entity assets that would be connected to it. But I'm not real sure how you would do that. To me, I feel like you would almost, if you're always going to be competing with each other if it's all on the same domain too. Marco, do you have any idea how to help him here?
No, because you're talking about the only variation here is the hotel name. Everything else is the same. Maybe the address is different. So maybe the location can vary by address, but you're competing. There's no way to avoid what you're calling cannibalization, which is Google taking similar pages on your website and deciding which one it should display. Right. Ideally, you want Google to display all 3. Is Google going to display all 3, or is it finally going to decide this is the one that matters? This is the one that I'm going to display. I would almost go like with if you can 3. So I don't know how much control you have. 3 subdomains or 3 separate websites.
Yeah.
Because then the 3 separate websites, you can schema the 3 separate websites correctly. They each will then have their own entity. You could even try to do it on the same website. I wouldn't. But if you could divide it into 3 websites where all 3 of these would then take up real estate in SERPs, but then you run into this. How do you decide like which one you want ranking above the other?
Yeah.
Or is Google, how is Google going to take that? As long as you deliver the same power and whatever you do to one, you do to all of the others, I think you can take up a lot of real estate that way on the SERPs. Other than that, if you're trying to run it on the same domain, and we'll just call it cannibalization. I don't call it that. That's what everybody else calls it, and that's fine. But I don't see how you can avoid it if the only thing that's different is the name of the hotel. Everything else is the same. Right? You're in Cancun, and you're by Solaris. So Solaris is common to all of them. They're probably in close proximity to one another. Other than putting them in 3 separate domains, or 3 subdomains, which are actually 3 separate domains, I don't see how you can do it.
Yeah, because then that would separate the web entities, at least the domain entities, right? So I agree with Marco. Again, the only thing that I could do if it was recommend on the same domain would be to have again, each page for each location would have its own, organization or corporation type markup, as well as perhaps local business markup, structured data, and all that. But then again, it's Google's, one of the more recent updates was Google specifically stating that it was going to put less results from the same domain for the same type of keyword in the search results, right? I stopped keeping up with the names of the updates, guys, but It's one of the more recent Google updates, like within the last few months. And one of the things that they said that they were going to do was reduce the number of pages from the same domain that could show up for any particular query on page one, right? So there's be less overall search results from any given one domain. And so that's probably what, a big part of what you're experiencing there. So I agree with Marco. How do you beat that? You do it, separate the domain entity that way, either via subdomain or in entirely separate domains. So I agree with that.